Hello friends, welcome to today's video. Since we're going to be talking about working out today, I thought I would film this video in my little workout nook of my apartment. As you can tell from the title of the video, I'm here to tell you about my experience doing the Total Strength program. It is a 4-week program on the Peloton app. If you've not watched my previous video on getting my Peloton bike, I will link that down below. However, this program is not one that you need the bike for, just the app. So if you're interested in strength programs and not interested in getting the bike, this still may be interesting for you. In this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me so you know where I'm starting from. I'm going to tell you a bit about the program, my experience with it, and then the part that everybody wants to know is the results. And I'm going to tell you the results in terms of measurement and weight loss. Starting with a little bit about me. I am not somebody who has done a consistent amount of strength training in the past. I feel like I've been pretty good with cardio. I have done jogging before. I train myself to run a 5K. I do cycling, obviously. When I go to the gym, when gyms used to be open, I would use the ellipticals. I feel like I'm pretty good for cardio, but I've started and stopped a few strength training programs here and there. The most consistent I ever was about this time last year. A friend of mine who is very knowledgeable about strength training came to my building where there is a small gym in the condo, looked at the equipment I have, put together sort of a program for me, and I was fairly consistent with doing that for I want to say about 2 months before all of the gyms, including the one in my building, shut down. So I've not been super consistent with strength training. I am currently 42 years old. I have gone through a little bit of a weight loss journey and I'm still along in the process of one. I'm about currently 50 pounds down from my highest weight. However, a year ago at this time, I was about 10 pounds lower than I am now. I would say overall a realistic goal for me, I'm looking to lose about 30 or so pounds. I'm just giving you a warning now that when I talk about weight, I'm going to talk about it in sort of relative amounts. I'm not giving you my actual weight just because I don't feel comfortable doing that. Let's get into talking about the program. As I mentioned before, it is a 4-week program. It is hosted by the instructor Andy Spear, and I'll tell you what they say about the program on the app. It says, discover your strongest self in this 4-week progressive strength program with Andy. Start by learning key movements in proper form and watch how your body responds as you challenge yourself consistently over time. At the end of the program, you'll measure your progress to see how far you've come. The program has 14 workouts in total. For the first 2 weeks, you do an upper body, a lower body, and a full body. And on the 3rd and 4th week, you do upper, lower, full body. And then there is also a combination workout, or I should say complexes is what they call it. Let's talk a little bit more about my experience with the program because I will be explaining a little bit more about it through the lens of my experience. And to start with, we're going to look at some video from my first week. So I'm just sitting here about to put on my workout clothes and do my first day of the Total Strength program. And I just thought I would share my feelings just in case some of you feel the same way. I am nervous. I have a lot of anxiety about this, and I've been trying to think about why that is. I think there's a couple things. Is for some reason, I guess because I've never been the most strength-based person, didn't do a lot of like weight workouts. I don't like the idea of like exerting myself, and that sounds so silly. And I always feel good when it's done, when I've done weight workouts before, but I just get really anxious about it ahead of time. And I'm feeling particularly anxious today because I feel a few things. And I think a little bit of this is my sort of perfectionist attitude. I worry that I'm not going to be able to do it. And I worry that starting this program, I won't finish it. And I think it's one of those fear of failure things. Like, I don't even want to start because what if I don't do it perfectly? And I know what I need to tell myself in these moments is, first of all, with the maybe I won't be able to do it. You know, this is 10 minutes of stretching, 30 minutes of upper body strength, and then 10 minutes of stretching. I don't have to do it all perfectly. I know that. Like, I can do as much as I can do, follow along. If I get exhausted, take a break, but something is better than nothing. But there's still that part of me that's like, but what if I can't? What if I can't do it? And I know that the thing about, you know, if I start and then don't finish, that is my all or nothing attitude. And that's what gets me to a place where it's like, oh, I did 2 and then I missed a day, so I'll just stop doing the entire thing. I just need to get over that hump and tell myself that I can, you know, if I miss a day, I can pick back up again. Things don't have to be perfect. But that is just what I am sharing with my feelings right now, because that is the truth, and maybe some of you out there feel the same way, so I'm just telling you that now. I'm gonna go do it. I mean, let's just put it this way, even if I just move my body a little bit and don't do anything properly, anything is better than nothing, right? Right. Well, this is definitely not the most flattering angle, but workout 1 is done, and I feel very good that I got it done. It wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. Let me mention a couple of things. First of all, it's a 10-minute warm-up and 10-minute cool down, and those are the same for every workout. And then there's a 30-minute part in the middle. This time it was arms, which I find slightly less intimidating, mostly because you tend to use like dumbbells for them. One of the things that I find hard, and the only thing that came up with today was push-ups, is that anything to do with body weight I find difficult. And that is mostly, I think, because I am not super strong, but I am on the heavier side. So I'm trying to, if I'm doing body weight workouts, push a higher level of weight without a lot of strength. So that always makes it harder to do body weight workouts. So one of the things I found today is I really liked the stretching parts. I always like that. I tend to have a stiff back, so I really like the stuff that stretches at the back. That feels so good. The flip side of that, and I think the reason why I tend to have a stiff back, is that I have very weak abs. So doing planks, ab work, we were doing some hollow body crunches, it feels awful and I find it hard to do. Those are the only things. So the only 2 things I had trouble doing, along with, you know, the pace of everything, was push-ups, because even doing them on my knees, I find it very hard at this point. And we were doing sort of some planks and stuff, and I find those hard to hold for the entire time he's saying to do it. But I always feel so good when it's done. I feel so good right now. Tomorrow is a rest day, and then the next one will be lower body. I don't believe I'm going to do these before and afters after each one. I just wanted to give you sort of that first day look. Week 1 of the Total Strength program is in the books and done. I'm very proud that I followed along every day like I should have. You saw the footage of day 1. The next time that I trained was 2 days later. So you went on day 1, day 3, which was lower body, which was the hardest. It was entirely squats, and those squats you were supposed to do with weights. I just did them with body weight because my body weight is more than enough weight. And then there were, single leg squats, it was a lot. And I find I have trouble with balance as well. Anyway, that was the one where the day of it wasn't so bad, but the next day my legs were on fire. And then the day after that was the full body workout day. And I was really worried that that was one of the days I had the hardest time getting myself to do the class because I still felt so sore. However, I loved the full body day. It was shoulder presses, am I saying that right? And also Romanian deadlifts, and I loved it. It actually really stretched my body out in a nice way so that I felt better after doing that class than I did before, just because it took away some of the muscle soreness and was just perfect. I have found, just as one of sort of the side benefits of it, there is such a focus on keeping your core engaged and like your glutes tight and your hips sort of engaged the correct way to stabilize your entire core when you're doing a lot of these lifts. I do find when I'm out walking or I'm just doing my daily work, I'm keeping my core a bit more engaged and sort of standing taller with better posture, which is a really nice sort of side benefit. I have mentioned that I tend to have soreness in my back and lower back. I think a lot of that is my posture as well as having not very strong ab muscles. So I think it will help me overall to feel like I'm keeping that core engaged in my day-to-day much more than I do now. Those are my thoughts after week 1. Always going to be a bit of apprehension there for me, but now that I'm in the groove a little bit more, I'm less scared of it, which is good. So I will perhaps give you an update weekly, or I will see you at the end for the results. In that first week, you can really see my apprehension, but as well as my excitement as getting through the first week. And I am proud to say that I was consistent the entire time. There was only one day where I didn't do the workout that day and ended up pushing it to the next day, just because there was a day I was supposed to do this one workout on a Monday. I woke up that Monday morning, my computer was completely dead, my laptop for working from home. I had to go into the office because I had to get a replacement laptop. I work at a hospital, so it's a bit of a process to go in right now, of course. I was out of gas, so I had to get gas on the way. When I got to the hospital, my key card didn't work to get me into the entrance, so I had to deal with that and get it reprogrammed with security. I had to get a new laptop. It was just a whole day, and by the time I got home, I was wiped. But I was proud to say that I didn't let that one hiccup stop me. I just started up again the next day. So really, I did everything consistently on the day it was supposed to be done, other than one day where I pushed it back a little bit. And I think I was in week 4 at that point. So my thought was like, no, nothing is gonna throw me off at this point. Talking about some of the pros of the program, I did get through it, and I think the structure of the program was a big part of that. It was pretty rigid. It was like, you're doing this on one day, you're taking a rest day, you're doing this, you're coming back the next day. And once you're sort of into it, you really want to get through it, and it is 4 weeks. So a lot of the strength training programs I'd tried before, it was sort of like, here's your 3 days, and then you just keep going forever. And the idea of I can do this for 4 weeks and get through it and feel accomplished, there was like an end point in mind. And for me mentally, that was really helpful. I was also pretty nervous, and I mentioned this in the video that you saw, that it was going to be like, I don't know, very CrossFit-like, like moving from activity to activity and you don't know what's coming next. And it was very logical and really gave you time to get used to things. So not only in the workouts themselves did he take the time to explain what you were doing. It's not like go for 30 minutes straight. It's like you do your 10-minute warm-up, and then you do some very specific stretching and warm-up in the 30-minute program for the kind of activities you're going to be doing that day. And then he walks you through what you're going to do. You take some time. Your first few sessions, you really focus on form, and then you go from there. And every lower body, upper body, full body day through the 4 weeks is the same exercises, just with modifications to make them harder every week. But he also lets you know that if you are finding it difficult, you can do the variation from the previous week. So you really know what to expect a lot going in, which for somebody like me who can be pretty anxious about doing new things was super helpful. I also quite liked that it was on video, because it's kind of this feeling of once you press play, you're going. And it's also a thing about the Peloton app, and I actually never tried that with the strength programs, but I think it's the same. Once you press play, there is no pause. And I believe part of the reason they do this because they do measure metrics and things like that, especially when you're doing a riding program, about where you are compared to everybody else in the program at that point. But there's no pause button. You just have to keep going. So there's no point where you think, oh, I'll just stop for like 2 minutes and then keep going. Like, no, you're in. And I think it was this idea in my mind of once I press play, I'm doing this. Like, whether I have to modify moves or maybe take a couple of extra breaks, I'm doing it. You really do feel yourself building strength through this program. After my first lower body day, my body was so sore the next couple of days. But then the next weeks, I was feeling a little bit of soreness in my muscles that were targeted after each week, but it just felt really good. Like, it wasn't limping around the house kind of sore. And I really could feel myself being able to do more week to week. And I have to say, a pro of this is that I really enjoyed Andy. He feels very experienced and smart about what he's doing. From what I understand, he has a background in strength training, but also gymnastics. He was very good at explaining things, but also really good at telling silly stories that would sort of distract you from what you were doing. So I specifically remember, I think you were sort of doing like, I'm not gonna remember the names of anything, but like, I don't know, arm raises, or maybe it was like, whatever it was something where it was sort of like this movement, which, you know, it can be hard. I was doing it with pretty light weights, but it was hard. And he sort of was making some joke about building up your arms so you can swoop in like a seagull and steal food, and you can't have floppy wings if you're going to be like swooping in as a seagull. It was just weird, and I could tell it was off the cuff for him, but you sort of have a moment of like, wait, what is he talking about? And you're not thinking about what you're doing in the moment. And I found him to be really encouraging, but really funny and very sweet at the same time. So it felt just really nice. I enjoyed Andy being the instructor. Another thing I want to say is not to be intimidated if you can't do everything. I mentioned this a little bit in the video that you saw, but I did have to modify some moves, and there are some moves I had to modify consistently throughout, and there are two that come to mind. If I was doing side planks, I always had to do it with like one knee down, my lower leg, my knee down. Oh, also every time I did push-ups, I have to do push-ups on my knees. I'm just not into place yet with my arm strength to be able to push up my body in that way. But the other one that is incredibly hard for me is lunges. I can do squats, no problem. But doing lunges, I think it might be a combination of again, a body weight exercise because the muscles aren't that strong, but my body is a heavier weight. And I think also my knees are a little bit bad and my balance is a little bit off when I'm in lunge position, but I just find it quite difficult. For me, in a previous program I tried at one point for lunges, they talked about sort of having a chair out so you can balance yourself and maybe help yourself a little bit in doing lunges. So that's what I did. So while in the program, he was progressing and you were always holding weights and doing lunges and then step back lunges, I was generally always doing lunges, holding on to the seat of the bike here for support and for a little bit of leverage as well. And that's what I did through the whole program. I still felt myself getting stronger. I felt like I needed less support as time went on, but I don't even think I got up to the level of being able to do what he was suggesting to do the very first week. And that's okay. Don't let yourself be completely derailed if a couple of exercises you need to modify for your abilities. I'll mention a couple of cons of the program. I know it can be quite hard right now when you're working out from home to find good equipment because fitness equipment is in high demand. So I did find I didn't quite have what I needed in terms of weights. So they suggest you have a light pair of weights, a medium pair of weights, and a heavy pair of weights. And by that I mean dumbbells. So I have the pair of 3-pound weights that came with my Peloton. I also have a set of sort of adjustable weights here. However, the lightest I can make those weights is like 9 pounds. They're in kilograms, so it's like 4 kilograms per barbell. And it would have been good to have something in between those two. Another con kind of relates to not being able to pause the video. So I think it's a good thing to keep up with the rhythm, but there were times when he wanted you to move from like medium dumbbells to heavier dumbbells, and there were some sort of like sets of activities where I probably could have gone up to the next weight in my dumbbells, but there wouldn't have been the time to unscrew what was there, screw on the other one, and then switch it back and forth between exercises. So there were times where I probably wasn't working up to the potential that I could have because I was trying to use a weight that I would be able to use for each of the activities in like the series that we were doing. I will also mention as a con that throughout this program, Andy kept mentioning, what to do in your rest days and like runs and bike rides and stuff. And he said, look at what I've programmed into this program or suggested programs. I could not find anywhere where any of that was. I'm not sure. So if you know, let me know, because I didn't know where any of these suggested rest day exercises were. What I did is I found during this month, I spent a lot less time doing like the instructed rides on my Peloton because those ones tend to push you a lot more. And I did a lot more just like scenic riding or like low impact rides on the days between doing the strength program. And this may be a silly one, but this was a day I was annoyed with Andy. You get to that third week and he's sort of talking up what you're going to do for that extra fourth workout that is new, the complexes one. I don't even think I had looked at the fact that it was called complexes, but he was like, we have something really fun. I have a surprise for you guys. And in my mind, and this is how you can tell I'm not like a strength trainer, I was like, oh, what's the fun surprise going to be? Is it going to be like a host extra instructor there with him? Is it going to be like, maybe we'll do some yoga or stretching? I don't know why I thought that was going to be a thing. But no, we got to that, and the complexes are doing all the same things you've done before, like push-ups and squats and like shoulder presses, except faster and as many times as you can in 6 minutes. And I was like, no, Andy, this is not a fun surprise. This is hard. And it's like, you tricked me, Andy. You very much tricked me into thinking it was going to be something fun and a fun surprise. And I would not call complexes a fun surprise. But you do get that big endorphin rush after you like work out and like work your muscles for a while, where you're like, yes, I did that, and I feel really good about it. Let's talk about my results before this video gets too crazy long, and we will start with weight. So through the 4 weeks, I ended up losing 4.8 pounds, which is a good amount of about 1.2 pounds per week. Of course, I can't attribute this entirely to my exercise program. Of course, this also has to do with diet, and I will link down below to the diet, or I wouldn't even call it a diet, just I was eating in a calorie deficit, and I talk more about that in a video that I've linked down below. But that is a very good amount to lose over a month. I'm very happy with that. My cardio for the 4 weeks was pretty much entirely on the bike, and I did end up cycling just over 250 kilometers. I did take my measurements, which I don't know that I'm very good at doing, but some notable ones here. I did appear to lose about 2 inches in my bust, which I do find that one a little harder to measure, but I do think that I lost at least a little bit of inches there. Around my hips, I lost 1.5 inches, and I lost about 0.5 inches around each thigh. But the one measurement I'm most excited about, because I find it to be probably the easiest and most accurate measurement, is around the narrowest part of my waist, where I did lose 2 inches over the month. That was my experience doing the Peloton Total Strength program. If you can't tell already, I would highly recommend it. Whether you're a beginner or you're more advanced, you can really build up through this program, and I did find it very enjoyable. And as I said, it's the only thing for strength training I've ever been consistent with. So if there's any sort of praise I can give it, I think that is a huge amount of praise. I have also noticed starting this month on the Peloton app, if you do that strength training program and you really like it, they've started doing what they call a strength stack every month, which will be a different one. And the first one was curated by Andy, where basically it's like they're giving you 3 workouts, not total body, because one day would be like lower body and core, one day is upper body and, like that kind of thing. But over the week, you do end up working out your entire body. And what I think is cool about that is you could approach it almost like the Total Strength program, where you do the same workout every week for 4 weeks, but you can build up weight, or you can like do different modifications to build strength during that time. And then next month, there will be a new one with a new instructor, so you can start on something new. So if you do the Total Strength program and you like the way that that is programmed, having something that is 4 weeks, where you can like progressively work harder at the same exercises every week, I think that's a great way to carry forward from there. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope it was helpful for you. As always, if you do like it, please give it a thumbs up. Please leave a comment. That helps out these videos so much. Let me know if you've tried this program. Let me know other strength training programs that I might like. Leave all of that in the comments down below, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, if you want to watch me attempting to better myself through 2021. And I look forward to seeing all of you in my next video. Bye.